It usually happens when you're doing something purely mechanical, in those quiet pockets of time where the world demands nothing from your hands, but your mind is left unsupervised. You might be washing dishes, feeling the warm water on your skin, or driving on a long stretch of highway with the radio off, or standing in the shower with the water running down your back. Your body is there, performing the routine, but your consciousness has completely left the building. You are time traveling. You're in a coffee shop 3 days from now, having a high-stakes conversation that hasn't happened yet. You're mouthing the words to an empty room. Maybe you're even making the hand gestures, a subtle chop of the air to emphasize a point nobody is seeing. You're testing out a joke to see if it lands, or you're calmly explaining to your boss exactly why you deserve a raise, adjusting your tone, pitch, and cadence until it sounds absolutely perfect. And then, snap, you drop the soap, or the traffic light turns green, and you jolt back into your body. You realize you've been standing there for 10 minutes, running a 4K simulation of a future that might never exist. If this sounds like your daily reality, if you feel like you live more in your head than in the room, you aren't just overthinking, you are scripting. And while society likes to label this as standard anxiety, neuroscience suggests you're actually doing something far more complex and fascinating. You're trying to edit a live broadcast in real time. Let's look at the pre-play mechanism first, because this is the part of the iceberg that stays hidden underwater. Most psychology content focuses on how we obsess over the past, but for you, the future is just as loud, if not louder. Before you walk into a party, before you make that difficult phone call, or even before you order food at a new restaurant, your brain is already running a massive Monte Carlo simulation. That's a term from mathematics, where you run thousands of possible scenarios to predict an outcome with minimal error. You are literally writing a branching script for every variable. If they say X, I'll say Y. If they laugh, I'll tell the second story. If they look bored, I'll ask about their dog. If they ask me what I do for a living, I need a better answer than last time. It's a decision tree with infinite branches. It's exhausting, isn't it? It feels like you're playing a game of 4D chess against a ghost who hasn't even made a move yet. But here is the high-definition truth about why you do this. You aren't doing it because you're fake or manipulative. You're doing it because you have a high need for cognition and a deep desire for safety. You treat social interaction like a high-stakes performance, where a single wrong word could collapse the entire stage. You're not trying to deceive anyone. You're trying to ensure that the version of you that shows up is the best possible edit, free of stuttering, free of awkward pauses, and free of vulnerability. But there is a glitch in this software. The glitch is a psychological phenomenon researchers call the illusion of transparency. This is the engine driving your script. You script these conversations because you are terrified that if you just speak naturally, people will see right through you. You believe that your internal nervousness, your insecurity, and your unpolished thoughts are broadcast on your forehead like a neon sign. You feel emotionally naked, so the script becomes your armor. You think, if I have the perfect lines prepared, if I know exactly what to say, I'm safe. They won't see the trembling behind the curtain. But here is the cruel irony that you've probably noticed, and it's likely the source of your frustration. The moment you step into the real interaction, the other person goes off script. They don't say the line you wrote for them. They interrupt you mid-sentence. They change the subject to something you didn't prepare for. And because you spent all your energy memorizing the script, you freeze, you panic. The safety net you spent 3 hours weaving in the shower dissolves instantly. This is why scripters often feel more times awkward in reality than they do in their heads. You prepared for a TED Talk, but life is an improv class. And the more you try to structure the chaos of human connection, the more robotic and distant you actually become. Now, let's talk about why this happens specifically when you're alone. Why the shower? Why the car? Scientists call this the default mode network, DMN. It's the part of your brain that lights up when you aren't focused on a specific task. For most people, the DMN is for daydreaming. But for you, the DMN is a war room. When your hands are busy with a rote task, your brain finally feels safe enough to process the backlog of social data you've been collecting. It's a paradox. You feel safest when you are alone, yet you spend that safety simulating danger. And then comes the second half of the cycle, the replay. The conversation is over. You're back in your car, and immediately, the internal editor clocks in for the night shift. This isn't just remembering, this is a forensic analysis. You replay the tape, but you're looking for something specific. You're looking for the micro errors, that half-second pause you made, the way your voice cracked slightly on the word exactly, the joke that landed with a thud. There is a French phrase for this, l'esprit de l'escalier, or staircase wit. It refers to thinking of the perfect comeback when you're already on the way out of the building. But for you, it's not just about being witty, it's about being understood. If you look closely at the moments you replay the most, I bet they aren't the times you were genuinely bad or mean. They are the times you felt misunderstood. You said something with good intentions, but it came out wrong, or the other person frowned, and now your brain is looping that moment, desperately trying to fix the file. You're trying to edit a movie that has already been released to theaters. You re-record the line in your head, saying it's smoother, clearer, funnier. And for a brief second, you feel a hit of dopamine, a sense of resolution. But it's a false resolution, because the real world hasn't changed, only your memory of it has. This constant editing creates a growing gap between who you are in your head, witty, articulate, calm, and who you feel like in the world, clumsy, anxious, reactive. This gap is where the pain lives. You are mourning the loss of the perfect you that never got a chance to debut. But let's go deeper into the hidden engine of this behavior. Why does your brain do this? Why can't you just let it go like everyone else? It turns out, this behavior is highly correlated with empathy and threat monitoring. You are likely someone who is hyper-aware of other people's emotions. You read the room at an elite level. When you replay a conversation, you aren't just obsessing about yourself. You are simulating the other person's experience. Did I hurt them? Did they think I was rude? Did I take up too much space? Did I bore them? This is the burden of high EQ, emotional intelligence. Your brain is a supercomputer that processes social data that other people simply ignore. While your friend walked away from that dinner thinking, "That was a good burger," you walked away thinking, "Sarah seemed quiet when I mentioned her job. I need to review that data point to see if I crossed a line." You aren't crazy. You are just operating on a higher bandwidth. The problem is, you're using all that processing power to prosecute yourself in a court where you are the judge, the jury, and the defendant. You are using your empathy as a weapon against yourself. There is a fascinating study from Cornell University regarding the spotlight effect that might help untangle this wire. They had students wear embarrassing t-shirts and walk into a classroom. The students were convinced that 50% of the room noticed and judged them. The reality, less than 20% did. And of those 20%, most forgot about it within minutes. When you are scripting and replaying, you are operating under the assumption that everyone is analyzing you with the same intensity that you analyze yourself. You assume they are going home and replaying your awkward pause. You imagine them sitting at their dinner tables, laughing at your clumsy sentence. But here is the liberating, slightly humbling truth. They aren't. They are too busy replaying their own blooper reel. They are the main characters of their own movies, and you are just a supporting actor who had a few lines in scene 4. They didn't notice your stutter because they were worrying about whether they had spinach in their teeth or if their own joke was funny. You are agonizing over a script that nobody else is reading. And it gets trickier when we talk about memory. You trust these replays, don't you? You think you are watching a 4K documentary of what happened. But neuroscience tells us something disturbing. Memory is not a video file, it is a reconstruction. Every time you replay that awkward conversation from 2018, you are not retrieving the original event. You are retrieving the last time you thought about it. It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. By the 100th replay, the image is distorted. You've added a frown to their face that wasn't there. You've amplified the silence. You've turned a minor stumble into a catastrophe. Your brain is essentially gaslighting you. You are torturing yourself over a fictional event that now exists only in your neural pathways. The you in that replay is a character you wrote, not the person who actually stood there. This is why the memory often feels worse years later than it did when it happened. You have been adding special effects to the horror movie for a decade. So, what happens if we stop? What happens if you fire the editor? It feels dangerous, right? It feels like if you stop scripting, you'll lose control. You'll say something terrible. You'll be exposed as the messy, imperfect human you are. But look at the people you love the most, the people you feel safest around. Do they speak in perfect, scripted paragraphs? No. They stumble. They say, They trail off. They say silly things. And you don't judge them for it. In fact, that's why you trust them. Their rough draft is what makes them human. We don't connect with perfection. We connect with the cracks. There is a concept called the pratfall effect. People actually like competent individuals times more times when they make a mistake. It makes them accessible. When you script your life, you are polishing away the very handles that allow people to hold on to you. You are presenting a smooth, Teflon-coated mannequin instead of a person. The awkwardness you are trying to edit out, that is your humanity. That is the texture of your soul. The next time you catch yourself in the shower, arguing with a ghost, or preparing a speech for a casual dinner, try this. Acknowledge the editor. Say, "Thank you for trying to keep me safe. I know you're working hard." And then, gently, put the script down. Step into the interaction with empty hands. Trust that your future self is capable of handling the moment when it arrives. Trust that you have the resources to handle a misunderstanding if it happens. The best conversations, the ones that change our lives, the ones that make us fall in love or build deep friendships, they were never in the script. They happened in the unpolished, messy, beautiful chaos of the present moment. You don't need to write the scene before you live it. You just need to show up, press record, and let the camera roll.